Alrighty, I think I'm ready now.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty, so yeah, it means a lot to be chatting with you because you're one of my favorite road course racers.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you have an interesting last name, I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun in school.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of ask about that. Did people? Yeah,
In school, I had, issues, of course, when you get used to it and handle it. Probably made you tougher. But in the racing industry, no, it put me kind of unique. I had I had actually, ironically, there was another Gaylord in one of the West Series races when I first started, which is, real rare, but that's the only time that really ever happened. But nobody ever had to give me really issues at all. Once we're adults, people don't really don't really care.
yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty cool. So yeah, I have a list of questions about your career and hopefully you have the answer for them.
All right, we'll try.
Alrighty, where are you originally from?
Golden, Colorado.
Nice. I'm from Estes Park.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ever been there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places. Although,
Oh, yeah, the hotel's there, and you get to drive right on over to Colorado National Park, all that stuff.
yeah, I went to the park a lot during summers.
I bet. I would, too.
Yeah. What made you get into motor racing?
Partially, my dad was a amateur road course racer for 50 years, and Les Gaylord, and so I was always hanging around with him. And then, of course, I wanted to race when it was my time. And back then, you couldn't really race till you're 18. If you were in Sports Car Club of America, they were kind of restrictive.
Oh.
So I couldn't start that young, but I started in a Formula V and a little Formula car with a Volkswagen motor, and did okay. And then showroom stop showed up, which is basically you can go get a car, put a roll cage in it, and go racing, which made it wonderful because it was pretty even racing, and you could drive your car there and back from the race. So I was sleeping and racing in my car there for a while, and then I ended up winning a national amateur championship at the Road runoffs in the Honda CRX. And then at that point, Honda was starting an endurance series for the SCCA endurance road course racing program, and they picked me up after I won that race to go race for them. So I ended up racing for Honda for 3 or 4 years in endurance 24-hour, 12-hour races, all over the country. And they were, we won 3 national championships, co-driving with Peter Cunningham, Lance Stewart, and Donna Landon, who ended up being my wife, Donna Gaylord.
Pretty cool. That's awesome. And that's really cool. Who is your biggest racing hero?
My dad.
Mm.
And then if you want to pick, besides my dad, somebody out there, I'd probably say Jimmy Means.
Ooh, yeah. I remember reading an interview from Dale Earnhardt Jr. because his hero was Jimmy Means as well.
Yeah, Jimmy's still out there doing it, man. He's there for life. He's good. He's helped. I would have to say, Dale Jarrett went through him. I drove for him. You can pretty much name nearly anybody, and they've somehow been associated with Jimmy Means in some way through their career.
Yeah,
in NASCAR. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I saw the Whataburger 52 car when I went to the Xfinity race last year. It was really cool.
Yeah, that is great.
It was so orange, though, that it was kind of hard to look at.
Yeah, I know. But you saw it.
Yep, and it was pretty cool. So what was driving for Jeff Burney like?
Oh, wonderful. He's a great owner. He'd show up at maybe 2 or 3 races a year, and then mostly, watch him on TV, and I'd call him after the races, and we'd go over it all. And he supported our program very well. At least 10 or more years we were working together pretty heavy in the West Series, maybe even more like 15 years. And I haven't talked to him recently, but stayed in contact for a while there, and he's just a really all-out racer. He raced himself and was a good racer himself. and then he kind of started pulling out of the driving himself and wanted to get into the endurance series that I was racing for Honda. So he started a Corvette team, and we were leading at Mossport against all the top guys, and the co-driver got into the car and it ended up seizing the rear end and rolling. But after that, he decided to turn to NASCAR, and then he picked me as the driver, and we had a 15-year career that was wonderful. I just had a wonderful career doing the West Series race.
That's pretty cool. And did you meet any famous race drivers before becoming one?
Um, no, not that I can think of. Once I did start racing, most of the people I met were in NASCAR that were pretty famous, and then when we went to Japan, we were all the top guys were there, and we got to start to get know each other a little bit better. Dale Earnhardt, and even Junior was at one other two of those races.
Pretty cool. What's the significance of the number 20W?
20W. Don't know. What is it?
According to Racing Reference, that was your number at Riverside in the 80s in NASCAR. Is that true?
Oh, I don't even remember that. That could be, yeah. So I was the last one to ever qualify for a cup race at Riverside.
Oh, yeah, because it shut down.
The last one to attempt to qualify. The motor blew during the qualifying lap, so I didn't make it. But I was the last one ever to attempt to qualify for a cup race at Riverside. And then after that race, it was shut down.
Ah, what was driving at the track like?
Oh, loved it. I've driven there before that too, in other venues. But one of the better tracks in the country, road course tracks. There's that. I think there's Road America. Has a longer, more intense tracks. There's Riverside, Road America, Sears Point, Laguna Seca. There's up here we had CDR, Continental Divide Raceway, which was the best high altitude racetrack ever, but that shut down about 15 years ago. So I've really raced a lot of these tracks that aren't even open anymore, that were probably the best around in the country at one time or another.
Yeah, and Tommy Kendall told me in our chat last year that Dan Gurney, when it came to Riverside, it was very unfair because everybody was saying, we know who's winning this one.
Yeah, pretty much. Gurney had that. Gurney could pretty much win anywhere, but Riverside was, he'd driven there a lot. He knew the track. He was one of the best drivers in the country. What are you going to do? Unless the car breaks, you should win.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you consider yourself a better road driver or an oval track driver?
I would say, well, stat-wise, definitely I was a better road course driver, but I developed, I felt, into pretty equal. I could go to either track by the end of my career and be as competitive either way.
Ah, that's pretty cool, man. And how did you start your relationship with Jimmy Means?
I basically called him and started talking to him about what's going on, and he said, well, come on out and we'll put you in and test you out. Finally, I talked him into just testing me out, and he put me in a car at Daytona. It was the first track I ever got to do a test with him on. And it went okay. We were one of the slowest cars, but I was as quick as he was in the car. And then he tried me out. Where did we go to the first race? I'm trying to think. Our first race was a course or oval, but I'm not sure what it was. But we ended up going to some race, and I did all right. So he started calling me here and there, and then we ended up doing at least a couple of road course races, Mexico, Canada, and then the Glen and Sears Point all together, and made a couple of those races. And really wonderful guy, and gave me a lot of opportunity, and had a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, and I kind of feel a little bit bad for Jimmy Means because I think that, he could achieve a lot more if he has the right opportunity with his team, if sponsors gave him a chance, And, he also was involved in that accident with J.D. McDuffie, and that had to be traumatizing.
Oh, of course it was. And he doesn't even want to talk about that. That's like a war wound, nearly, But, you got to look at also, Jimmy Means is still doing it, and a lot of people aren't. So,
yep.
Rich or poor, if you love what you're doing, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, and I admire his team that it's lasted. It's pretty cool. That shows that anyone can do it, you know?
Well, I don't know about anybody, but he can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it does give the opportunity to other people to say you can do it, but it isn't that easy. Jimmy, and even he's pretty much it. I mean, there's Davis out there. He's got a team with kind of the same thing, but they got a little bit more backing and support through some of the drivers. But Jimmy, has done it on nothing for 30 years.
Yeah, and if I had to pick a Cup Series team that's probably on par with that one as far as how they can achieve things with little, I would have to say it's the Spire team that won Daytona last year in July.
Yes, that was cool, wasn't it?
It was, and I remember when that race happened, when Haley took the lead, I was like, if my guys couldn't win, I definitely pull for these guys.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You always do that. Yeah. You got your main guy, and then you got, wait a minute, I want Jimmy to win, or I want those guys to win for sure. I get it.
Yeah, and not only that, but I kind of think they did the right thing in stopping the race because the rain is very dangerous to race in. You know what I mean?
They got to figure something out there, though. They need to have like an IROC rain car with enough, 30 of them sitting there. So if they have a rain out, they need to put all these good drivers in a rain car and go out at it because it's killing ratings, these rain races.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So, yeah, what is driving at Watkins Glen like?
Oh, wonderful. I've driven there in a number of endurance races and also in the Cup race and in the Xfinity races. And I love the track very much, both configurations, the full course and the stock car course. I raced even there in the snow a couple times in an endurance race.
I didn't know it snowed there. I knew it rained.
Yeah, I did when we were early spring or something, and they had just one of those freak things, and it wasn't sticking, so it was like a really, like not a slush, but borderline. But you got snow coming down, and you like couldn't see very well. Like, what the heck is snowing, man?
Yeah. So, yeah, what was it like making your first Busch Series start in '97?
Oh, very exciting. Thankful to Jimmy for the opportunity and wanted to show everybody what I could do. And, we had a okay little start and things were going okay. And then things, change or something breaks or something driver makes a mistake. But I was, and to me, that was at that point my ultimate achievement.
That's really cool. Glad to hear that. And was it a Jimmy Means car or was it another car?
I'm pretty sure it was Jimmy Means. I don't remember driving anybody. I did drive one other guy's car one time at Phoenix, and that was about it. And that was not even close. It was horrible. Car would go 3 laps and wore a tire out.
Yeah, I know what that's like. What is racing in Circuit Gilles Villeneuve like, Montreal?
Probably one of those technical tracks I ever raced. I can pick up on a track usually within a lap and a half. That's what my big advantage was in Mexico. They only had us qualify. We only had 1 lap to qualify. And in the first race, everybody was still getting used to the track, and I could click on tracks really quick. So I was able to basically, we were on the pole for a while, and once people started to develop their cars, the second time we came, we weren't even as, we still made the race, but we were way back in the field because they were able to make the cars better, and you had 5 laps to try to get your best lap. So that's where I clicked. So, but Villeneuve, I have to say, took me 3 to 4 laps before I could get it figured out. It was the most difficult one I've ever had to get used to.
Yeah, it resembles more of a street course than a normal road course.
Totally agree. Like. Yeah, wonderful though. Once I got used to it. In fact, the rain race that they stopped because Joey Logano and everybody was crashing in, we would have probably had a top 10, but they decided to stop it. I'm like, why? We're not crashing just because everybody else is. Why are we stopping this race? But they stopped it, and we were still in the back.
Yeah, and were you a part of the race in Montreal in 2007?
I'm not sure. I was in 2 of them. One was that rained out and shut down during the rain, and the other, I think, what's his name? The Canadian driver won. Forgot his name offhand. And then the other one was before that, like I think the year or two before, but I can't remember. So
Yeah.
I don't remember what years. It might have been one of those years. I just don't know for sure.
Yeah, and first of all, the guy that you're referring to is Ron Fellows. Just
Ron Fellows, thank you. Correct. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That was in 2008. I do know that Ron won that one in 08. And
Yes.
the one I was referring to was the year before, where there was the controversial finish between Robbie Gordon and Marcus Ambrose.
Oh, yes, I was in that one. So I was 2 years in a row there, yeah.
What was your reaction to the controversy at the end?
Not much. I was more worried about what I was doing, what we were up to, and our issues. But I thought Ambrose was the best road course driver probably I've ever seen. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good opinion, and I would have to agree with that because when I first started out in the sport, it was around that time, and Ambrose was winning all of those races at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
And it kind of got to the point where I was saying, well, I know who's winning this one whenever the Glen came up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was excellent. He was an excellent driver, unbelievable on road courses, really good with high-powered road course cars.
Yeah, and Robbie Gordon was a pretty good road racer too, but
he was excellent too, but he was number 2 or 3, not number 1.
Yeah, and to be honest, Robbie kind of had some personal issues that might have gotten in the way of some things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he had a lot of, he's a good driver, did his stuff, worked his way, but, he had a lot of, his dad was in it, he had a lot of support, and kind of had, I wouldn't say an easy path, but he didn't have what Ambrose had to go through. And Ambrose is definitely, more talented, even though Robbie's right there. If Ambrose wasn't around, I would be looking at Robbie. But Ambrose, if it was those two, I'm picking Ambrose.
I'm with you on that. Yep. So, yeah, what was racing in Mexico City like?
Wonderful. Loved it. The NASCAR, Mexico and Japan, unbelievable support by NASCAR. They shipped you in. They put you on buses. They put you in hotels. They shipped you to the track. Everything was just all catered very nicely. And then the track, I love both tracks. Mexico, the people are wonderful. You've never been to the place before. We even got to go on a tour to one of the ruins. I was still one memory. Most of the best memory was, good and bad, was in the first race where we qualified really well. And then I got out of the car for one of the Mexican drivers to drive in the race. I was, paid I basically was paid a whole bunch of money to drive 3 laps to qualify the car. And I kind of was bummed I didn't get a race, but I didn't know if the car was even going to make it because we were really having overheating problems. But I loved the track and loved all the people there. It was just really a wonderful time. I couldn't have great memories. So anyway, during one of the practice events, I slammed into one of the drivers that I thought was going off the track, and he came back on. So we had a little incident, and Jimmy Means was not happy. He was yelling in my face probably for about 10 to 15 minutes straight, which he had the right to. And he was ready to load the car up. And I said, no, we're okay. The car, we'll get it fixed, and it's a good car. Just let me go ahead. And we never got to practice again. And that was my only 3 laps, was a lap and a half in practice and a lap in qualifying. And we ended up 19th or 20th, and I was on the pole at the time for a while even. And Jimmy, from that point on, I was his road course driver pretty much.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, and yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, let me think. Did you ever drive for Joe Nemechek's team?
No, I know him, but I never did drive for him.
So Racing Reference might have made a mistake then, as far as saying
that.
Or
I got in a car maybe once or something. I don't even know it, and I didn't know it was his. Who knows?
Alrighty, I can probably do.
Sometimes I have to get in a car to qualify or something for somebody, and I'm like, I don't even know whose car it is, but I just get in there and do it, and then find out later it's like, oh, that was owned by so-and-so,
Okay, got it. What was driving in your home state like at Pikes Peak?
Oh, wonderful. That's another big accomplishment because we were the first ones to race there. in the stock cars or in any really major event. And then Michael Waltrip and Kenny Schrader were there. And then I ended up having a really good car, so I was able to pass them and go for the lead. And would have probably won the race, but we lost a cylinder, and I still ended up like sixth in that race. But car was good. We were having a great time, and the crowd was jam-packed. It was sold out, and I was pretty much the hometown hero after that for a good 5 years. I mean, I was, I was the driver in Colorado for a while right then.
Wow, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my last one on the list that I have. What's your favorite racing movie between Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights, or any other movie you can think of?
Oh, wow. There's Le Mans, Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights. Oh, man. I'd have to probably say, probably, sorry to not, this is something that you probably aren't ready for, but probably the 1966 Grand Prix is probably my favorite one.
Oh, I might need to look into that. That sounds
that
like
was
pretty
done.
cool.
That was the first ones that had in-car cameras. Jim Clark was actually and Graham Hill were in that movie, and Phil Hill was in that movie also. And I saw it when I was a kid at a big movie theater, and I remember hanging on to the handles of my chair because I've never seen something from inside a car like that in a movie theater. So they were the first ones. Now you look at it, and it's like kind of silly, but at the time it was revolutionary. And if you go to the modern ones, I'd have to say Days of Thunder.
Alrighty. Yeah. I might need to watch that Grand Prix film now that you brought it up.
It's a classic. A good acting, good. I mean, it's a good movie if you're not even into racing, let alone it has huge actors in it and everything. It was big time at the time. It was a huge hit for very rare at that point, and even after that, to have a good popular race movie besides Days of Thunder and then Talladega Nights. Before that, nobody really could do very much with movies with racing. People kind of lost interest, or they didn't have very good plot. But that one did, and sort of those Days of Thunder and Talladega Nights was a comedy more, but and kind of a farce, but it was very entertaining.
Yeah. One thing that I like about Days of Thunder is that the former owner of Cole, played by Randy Quaid, he helps him get back on the lead lap at the end of that race.
Yeah.
I always like that.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
That kind of.
Yeah, I remember seeing that when we were at Laguna Seca racing, and that just came out, so we went to Monterey to watch that movie.
Pretty cool. And what I like about that is that it shows that even though Cole was fired by his owner still believed in his potential.
Yeah, that was excellent, because that's how it is in racing. They're like, yeah, we might not have had a good thing, but he's still a good driver, and I still think he can do it. I just love that stuff. That's a very good point. Probably one of the main points I saw in that movie too.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, you're a racer, right? You're seeing the main things there.
Yep, for sure. And how wouldn't I know? Because I've been involved in the sport for almost a decade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you got it. You got the feel. I can tell.
Yeah. So to tell you a little bit about the project that I'm working on, it's an ebook documenting motor racing history, which means it's for Kindles and electronics. It's a book for those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And this interview will be used for it.
Great. Well, I'm very excited to see it, and thank you for interviewing me. And I'm sure it's going to be good because you know your stuff, you know what's going on out there. So good luck with it, and let me know when you get it going. We'll whatever we got to do. We'll get it read, bought, or whatever it takes. We'll list it on our sites here at Gaylord's too.
Thank you, and if possible, do you think maybe one of these days when I'm back in state, you and I could meet up? Maybe.
You're always welcome. Sure, we're here 5 days a week. You can give me a call anytime here at Gaylord's on this number, and we can meet up anytime, have lunch, do whatever you want. Come on by. We have our own race team going on here still. So.
Alrighty, cool. I'll keep that in mind for when I'm back in state.
All right, you're always welcome.
Thanks, Scott.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Alrighty, that turned out very well. I like it. I enjoyed Scott. Cool.